Today we have a 2015 Volkswagen Passat. We're replacing pretty much the entire front suspension, lower control arm, ball joint, as well as strut. Normally I would do this separate, but just because the way I'm going to do this, we're going to do it all together. So first thing we're going to do is obviously remove the wheel here. Normally there's a tool in the trunk you can get to remove these, but someone already screwed all this up. I believe the tool would still work, but normally what I do to remove these, I just get like a pin or something and just pop it out, and then with the separate tool. Alright, so first off, apologize for the wind noise. It is hot in Texas today, and I got a couple fans blowing on me, but I'll try my best to get the sound working right. So for the most part, we're going to remove everything, free up the spindle here. Everything's all going to come out together. So we're going to have to remove the axle as well as the brake caliper and, the bracket holding the wire and the brake line. So with a 24 12-point socket, we're going to remove this for the axle nut here, or axle bolt technically. This does like to seize up pretty well, so I usually get the blowtorch and heat this up real well, and then it'll come straight out. Pretty much, just a nice little torch, heat it up for a minute, let it get nice, and just zap it out. So we're gonna get that out, but also we're gonna go ahead and get the brake caliper, swing out the way, hold a bungee cord, tap it up to here, 2 bolts in the back holding the caliper to the spindle here. It's going to be a 21 millimeter both top and bottom. So pretty much I'm going to remove that, remove this bolt here, but also the number 10, we're going to remove this bracket for these 2 here to get off this strut here, as well as unplug the ABS speed sensor here. So let's go ahead and get those out, and then we'll get to the next step. All right, now with the axle bolt removed, and it's pretty much free and loose, as well as the brake caliper / bracket removed. We're going to remove 2 more things before we start busting this off the vehicle. 2 18 millimeter nuts, one for the outer tie rod here. Just take this off, hit the side, let it pop out. And then for the sway bar link here, number 18, just let that come out. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and release the strut from up top, as well as the ball joint from below. We've got our sway bar link removed, outer tie rod as well. So first thing I'm going to do before I lower the vehicle to remove the 3 bolts up top for the strut mount, I'm going to come down here with the number 16, remove 3 nuts holding the ball joint to the lower control arm. And the reason why I'm doing that first is so that pretty much when I lower the vehicle, I can just let this drop out. And I mean, won't really damage much, maybe here, so I might just put something for it to fall on or just carefully let it drop. But for the most part, I'm just trying to get this whole thing to drop since the accelerator is separated from the spindle here, and just make our life a little easier since we're going to have to put that. So now put that here just in case. We're going to remove 3 13 millimeter nuts. Just pull this weather strip to the side a little bit, slightly lift up, and you will see those 3 bolts. We're going to go ahead and remove that, and pretty much the entire new assembly is going to just drop right out. Alright guys, so we have this removed now. We're basically going to be replacing the ball joint down here as well as the strut. So with the strut, you're going to use one of those 12-point Torx that Audi, Volkswagen, Porsche love to use. So number 14 with the 18 here, just zap this out. And then with a chisel, or I actually have a tool that does that specifically to spread this. I'll give a view when I get to that point. We're going to spread this open a little bit and just beat this out. And then I believe this one is also an 18, but I'll double check on that. But before I even get to this point, I'm going to go ahead and do the next step. And that's just removing his lower control arm. So pretty much it's free now. Just 2 18 millimeter bolts, one here as well as here. Now this 18 millimeter bolt does have a nut sitting on top, so you're gonna need an 18 millimeter wrench to hold it when you zap this out. So I'm pretty much just gonna remove those 2 bolts and just with the pry bar pop it out, and then we'll get to that strut and lower ball. So I've removed the lower control arm. As you can see, the bushing is gone. That bolt has been removed, and this is the tool I was talking about, the little spreader tool. You'll see them all over Amazon, just a little strut spreader. So pretty much I'm just going to whack it right here with the hammer, just let it get out. Maybe spray some WD-40 to help lubricate it. So we're going to get that out, and then this is number 18 as well. Just a nice little swivel and extension. Just zap this out real quick, beat it out. This will free up everything here to get ready for replacement. So I'm going to go and get these off, and then we'll start replacing this here. Now I've gotten everything removed from the spindle here, ball joint, everything. I'll go ahead and install the ball joint. It's quick and easy, just put the new one in. I'm just gonna zap in, make it quick. You can torque it as well. I'll double check that torque, and maybe I'll tell y'all if I don't forget. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to replace the strut here. Now we're just gonna be you know, swapping this over the mount and everything. Mount's still good. One thing I like to do before I do that is I'll make a reference mark with the marker here, and then with a 21 try to zap this out. If not, using a 7 Allen and a 21 wrench to hold it, we're going to get this out. But first obviously we're going to want to compress the spring down. So let's get that started and I'll get the new one. So normally I'll use like our mounted compression tool for this, but it's kind of out of commission now. Normally when I do that, I can just like barely compress it and just zap out that nut. It comes right out. But obviously when you can't, it'll just spin. So I'm just going to compress this enough to where, you know, basically I can move this around the strut with a 21 holding here, and number 7 going clockwise. We're just going to zap this out real quick and get ready to swap it over to the new strut. Okay guys, so here's the new strut. We're going to go ahead and put that coil back on, spring, whatever. Just make sure it lines up right here. Throw our mount on and just tighten it all the way down, just the exact same way we removed it. Number 7 Allen in there to hold it steady, or we can use that to rotate it, and then that 21, a new 21 millimeter nut, push it down all the way into place. So let's get that together and we'll get to the next step. All right, our new strut has been installed, meeting up down there, kind of lined up well here. I mean, this rotates anyways. I just like to keep it steady so it's easy for when we install. Now that there's tension on this, I'm just going to hit this one more time with my impact, the 21. I don't want to hear this torque BS, but for the most part, I know how to use, you know, an impact so it doesn't mess anything up. But I'm just going to hit it one more time, and then we're going to get to the control arm and get ready to install this back on the spindle to put back in the vehicle. So now that we pretty much are going to do the control arm here, the old one has been removed. I'm just going to slide the new one this direction first towards the rear, and then once this is fairly lined up well, we're going to go ahead and push it into here. Yeah, I know I should be showing you all these things, but that's not how my channel works. We like to show the steps and y'all figure out how to actually do it. So we're going to go ahead and get the new control arm installed first, get ready to tighten it down, but not fully. I'll explain why later, and then we'll get to the next step. Alright guys, so my control arm is just pretty much in place. I haven't tightened it down, and the reason is because I'm going to get everything in first. Put this into a relaxed state, since these are rubber bushings here. You can see right here, it's already kind of slanted. Pretty much what I'm going to do once everything's installed, get a T-bar, get some tension on here, like if the vehicle was on the ground in a relaxed state, and then tighten it down just so we can relieve the tension on these bushings and allow it to, you know, last longer. So before I do all that, let's get this installed here. Already got the new ball joint in. This is a different nut. This is a 19 compared to the 18 millimeters. Went ahead and replaced that with the new one that came with our ball joint. And then now we're going to slide the strut in here. Same way we removed it, just spread out a bit. But I'm also going to go ahead and clean this up in here a little bit and add some lube to make our life a little easier, and just slightly tap it in. Don't want to damage the new one. The old one's whatever, but pretty much it'll go all the way in until it hits this edge here. As you can see, it stops there. So once it does that, we'll tighten it up, get ready to install in the vehicle. All right guys, so new strut, new ball joint assembled into the spindle here. I'm going to go ahead and lower the vehicle again. I'm going to install the mount first, or actually, sorry, apologize for that. We're going to place the mount, or the strut inward, then set it on the control arm of the ball joint, and then tighten up the strut mount to the vehicle, and then work our way down to the bottom. Okay guys, so we essentially have this semi-installed just sitting here in place. I pretty much swung the strut in first just to give us the ability to actually put this in place. The strut will have to go in and bring in the spindle here and place the lower ball joint into place. Since this is loose, it's still easy to manipulate. We just line it up, as well as with the axle in here. So all this down here is lined up right. So now all I'm gonna do is go up top, line up those holes up there, tighten those 13 millimeter nuts, and then we'll raise the vehicle back up and finish this up. 3 bolts tightened down. Just go ahead and just put this back on. Close up that weather strip there. Now let's go ahead and raise the vehicle and get the rest of this done. Okay y'all, so we're officially on the final step. I have the control arm in a relaxed position with this T-bar holding it up, pushing it up just barely off the lift, so pretty much like the vehicle is on the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these 2 18s, and pretty much that's gonna be it. I've already tightened everything else up since, you know, nothing else needs to be manipulated, just this. And I want everything tight here when putting this in a relaxed state here. So just tighten these 2 bolts and we'll be done. And we do the exact same thing on the other side, minus 1 extra step. There are 2 16 millimeter bolts that hold this mount to the bell housing here. We're gonna want to remove those in order to remove this bolt here. Now I've already done this side, so pretty much what you're gonna do is remove these 2, get a little pry bar, just gently pull the engine forward, engine transmission forward, giving you just enough clearance to remove this bolt here, but pretty much everything else is the exact same. So thanks for watching, y'all. Please like, subscribe, more videos to come.